We were muted?
Yeah.
You mean I could have just
No.
uttered obscurities the entire time?
No. Yo,
We're back,
what's up?
baby.
Episode 3 of the Golden Hour.
Is it 3 already?
Yeah,
Damn.
that is 3. I think that's what that adds up to, man.
Wow.
Okay, we're here to talk about Week 10 games and then Week 11 predictions for, what was it, about an hour and 20 minutes?
We're here to
Game
talk
start.
sports. Men's football.
There's a couple not huge upsets,
Oh,
but
yeah, dude, it's upset
just some
week.
great games last week. We'll start with our upsets that we took from last week.
Real quick before we start, World Cup kicks off today. Anyone interested?
Ooh.
World Cup it kicked off earlier, actually. I think it was like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, those games are probably pretty early.
Qatar,
in the game.
Ecuador.
Or early in the
Yeah, so it's in Qatar. Before we start talking football, it's in Qatar. And a home team hasn't lost the opener since like 1970 or something crazy. So, I mean, use that if you're betting, use that to bet, for or against. But pressure's on. Qatar, Ecuador, and Ecuador's up 2-0.
Ooh. How much time's left?
40th minute. So
First half. Still.
first half. So there's still some time left, but World Cup kicked off today for my soccer fans, for my football fans. So now let's talk football.
All right, back to
Back
American
to football. Yeah, football Americano.
So my upset last week was the Packers over the Cowboys, and the Cowboys were kind of in charge of that game through 3 quarters probably.
Yeah.
The Packers ended up scoring, what was it? 14 points in the fourth quarter to force an overtime. The Packers won it off a field goal late in the overtime.
We watched
3
it here,
minutes
didn't
left.
we? That was like that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
So that was a really good game. Aaron Rodgers turned it around late. They were behind pretty good.
Who was that Aaron Rodgers in the first half? Or like
Yeah.
the first 3 quarters though?
The
The weirdest dude.
He had 58 touchdown yard pass to Watson. So
Yeah, but dude.
that was about it. One big play, and then they drove it down the field. 3 minutes later.
He had a
in the
couple
second
of
quarter.
open throws that just like you could
Yeah.
just like I don't know.
He doesn't look like the same Aaron
Yeah, I don't know
Rodgers
if they were like
as
not on the same
we're used
page
to.
or running bad routes or what was happening, but some of his throws were, the ones he typically
Struggle.
gets off. Yeah, and he was dude was right in the struggle bus for sure.
But the Packers were able to pull it off. Maybe even save their season a little bit. Maybe be able to push into a wild card because I don't think they're going to catch Minnesota. But they're 4-6 now. Big win against Dallas. Dallas. That's a heartbreaker for Dallas because they need to stay within striking distance of that division. And any loss like that to a struggling Packers team hurts.
Yeah.
I know it was in Green Bay. That's kind of why I took them as my upset. And so I'm 1-1 in my upsets.
Who did I take?
You took the Cardinals over the Rams.
Yeah, I think they won it.
And
yeah.
you're now 1-1.
Yeah,
in the
Cardinals
upsets.
came out ready to play, put 27 points on the board. And Kyler Murray, I mean, I've seen better Kyler, but he came out and started balling out, dude, and I was,
Good to see.
Good
finally.
to see early too.
It
I was-
only took him about 10 games even.
Yeah, dude.
But
better late than never.
he does have Hopkins back.
Yeah, he came back.
So that really changes that dynamic of that offense. They look good.
Yeah, but they're still what, like
But they're
4-6.
4-6.
Yeah.
But the division isn't really pulling ahead like Minnesota's. What are they now? 8-1 or 9-1? Are they?
I think 9-1, right? Unless
They
they had
are-
a bye week.
They're 8-1.
8-1. Yeah, they just beat up on the Bills. They just beat up on the Bills. Is that right?
They didn't beat them
Well,
up. That
like
was
3
that was
points.
one of the best games I've seen.
It was like 36-33 or something.
That's probably the craziest ending to any game I've seen in about 6 years.
Yeah,
and the last
33-30.
one, the last one that I remember was actually another Vikings game, which they pulled off. When I think it was in the playoffs against the Saints, where Stephon Diggs made that crazy catch down
yeah.
the sidelines
On that
and
right
wasn't
side.
touched and
Like
walked
a-
into the end zone
like
for
a
the win.
madman.
And this time they're facing Stephon Diggs, and they had one of the craziest endings I've ever
Mhm.
seen. Let's actually start with that game,
Kobe.
because that was the craziest game
R.I.P. Kobe.
that I saw last week. I'm pretty sure it's the craziest game all year.
Yeah, 33-30 in overtime.
So
That was a game.
Let me go. The Vikings were down 27-10 towards the end of the third quarter, actually. And after they went down 27-10, they threw an 81-yard one-play drive to Delvin Cook. Oh, no, it was a run, actually. 81-yard run by Delvin Cook, put them right back into the game. And then they scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. They scored their last touchdown with 41 seconds left. But then the Bills drove all the way down the field, kicked a field goal with 2 seconds left to send it into overtime, and then Vikings pulled it out in the overtime. But the way that they scored those touchdowns in the fourth quarter were absolutely crazy.
It's something
so
to be recognized.
4.5 minutes left, 3-yard run, put them within 4 points. They're down 4 at that point. They drove all the way down the field again. It was 4th and goal on the half-yard line. Kirk Cousins tried to quarterback sneak it. Didn't get in. So I think they still had their timeouts at that point, but it looked over. It looked like a bad way to lose a game, not being able to punch it in there. And then Josh Allen, they got the ball back, but on the 2-inch line of their own goal line. So they hiked the ball and tried to hand it off to get them some breathing room, and they fumbled the snap, and Vikings recovered in the end zone to take the lead with 41 seconds left, literally on the first play, so they didn't waste any time. But then the Vikings defense let Josh Allen and the Bills go right down the field. Look at those odds. That's the odds right there. I think the Vikings are on the bottom there.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane. They went all the way. I think on Red Zone they said they had a 99.6% chance to win. The Bills did after stopping them on the goal line, and then they fumbled it. Vikings recovered, and then they took the lead, so Bills drove down the field, kicked a field goal to send it into overtime, and then Vikings prevailed in OT.
Vikings basically shit the bed. I had Delvin Cook in a couple of fantasy leagues, so wasn't too mad at his performance, but yeah, when it came or the Bills, the Bills basically just handed the win over.
Yeah. 14 points in 4.5 minutes to end the game.
Can't do that.
You got to finish games. That's what makes you such a solid team. That puts you above the rest.
And they were winning the game the whole time. They basically just
they were up 27-10.
Yeah, they were dominantly winning the game. It was just right at the end they just found a way to lose, and that was what's mistake after mistake. It's those minor details. They just weren't. They weren't as brushed up and polished as they needed to be to win that. And clearly, an OT losing by 3 to the Vikings. That hurt to see.
Yeah, and it's not too concerning for the Bills because the Vikings are a good team. They're probably top 2 team in the NFC right now. So it's not it's not that surprising that Vikings won it. It's the way that they won it.
And if people are overlooking the Vikings for some strange reason, I've had conversations with people, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't see this Vikings team being this good," and I get that. I didn't either, to be honest. I saw them being okay, like a somewhat over 500 team, maybe a game over or so, but they've 8-1. They're balling out, and they just beat a really good team, forced them into overtime. Like you said, they were losing. It was 27-10.
27-10.
Yeah, they were losing that game by a significant amount. Came back and made plays when it mattered and capitalized on the other team's mistakes. Forced the game into overtime, and made it happen. So they're playing really good football, and kudos, man. You got to show some respect.
Absolutely. They deserve respect now after beating what is probably the AFC favorite.
The favorite for me, so put some respect on it.
Besides Kansas City, I don't
put some respect on it.
See anyone being a favorite out of Buffalo. There's a lot of good teams in the AFC, but Buffalo and Kansas City are the teams to beat.
I had Buffalo projected to win or to lose 2 games.
Yeah.
And
actually, it's right here.
And they're going, where are we at with that?
16-1.
I had them losing 1 game. They've lost 3 now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to back too, haven't they?
Yeah, since we've made these predictions, they came in and just started losing back to back. So
the podcast curse.
Yeah, dude. Is that what they're calling it? Whatever.
All right, so there was a game Thursday. We talked about it last Sunday, but it was still last week, so we'll talk about it. Carolina got their second win without McCaffrey. They have 3 total wins, and 2 of them were without McCaffrey, and they beat the Falcons, and that really hurts the Falcons because Tampa ended up winning in Germany over Seattle. So
that was an early one.
They're in a commanding lead in the division now. Falcons needed that game to stay competitive, to stay having a chance, because they're not gonna get a wild card. There's not gonna be a wild card out of the South. You have to win that division to get into the playoffs, and Falcons fell 10 points short to the Panthers, a McCaffrey-less Panthers, and that's
The Panthers have been running the football. Can we talk about that? The Panthers have been running the football
without McCaffrey.
without McCaffrey. I think that's why other teams probably come in, especially their defense, just thinking that that's going to be like a giant hole in their offense. You know, like there's nothing that's going to be there because who is a Panthers team without McCaffrey? And they've just been running it down people's throats, dude.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I think it's by committee too, isn't it?
Has to be. Yeah, it has to be. It's only right. And the Falcons just I didn't see them taking that division.
No.
When they were 4-4 and they were on the top. It was
just waiting for Tampa to
they were
turn
at the
it
peak,
around,
man. It's like
basically.
when you go up the roller coaster and you're at the very top, the only thing left is to go down.
Yep.
That's how I look at the rest of their season. Maybe they squeak out a win here and there, but
We're gonna have a
they're gonna
special
get
guest here
exposed.
soon.
They're gonna get exposed.
We got a special guest coming on.
Just like this man exposes us every week.
Every week he comes and makes an appearance, and I love it.
Never when we're offline. When we pop online, he knows. He wants to get his little 5
Needs to
seconds
get
of fame.
his screen time in.
Yeah, man, get it. Oh, this man
He looks at you and shakes his head.
gives me the little nod.
You gotta smell it, the coffee. You don't need any of that. You'll be wired.
There was a lot of close games. A lot of games within, one possession, slight two possession. Nothing crazy, but there was a lot of close ones.
We'll talk about the Bucks Seahawks. We're paying attention to that game. It was an early game in Germany, so there was going on while we were doing the podcast last week, and Bucks were able to pull that out. Seahawks kind of brought it back. They were down 21-3 in the fourth quarter, and then turned around and scored 2 quick touchdowns to make it at least a game, 16-21. I think the Seahawks got held on fourth down. They had the ball back, but they weren't able to do anything with it. So
I remember
they're able to pull it out. Seahawks aren't a bad team. I know traveling over to Germany is, think about how far Germany is, and that jet lag can play a part of the game. Fans that
aren't your actual.
Yeah,
fan.
they're
I
doing
saw a couple
chants
Packers
that you
jerseys
don't,
in there, some Bears jerseys.
They don't do the regular American football chants that you see in the States. They're used to soccer games, so they're kind of loud all game. It's a different environment.
It's a different dynamic for sure.
And Tom Brady is the only quarterback to win 4 games overseas and the only quarterback to be undefeated overseas. So he's 4-0 now.
We get it. Tom Brady is Tom Brady.
Geno Smith actually did pretty good. No interceptions, 23 for 33, 275 yards. So that's not bad.
He had a decent game.
Tom Brady, 22-29, 258, 2 touchdowns and an interception. That interception, I believe, is one of the reasons why they scored one of their touchdowns late in the game. There's a running back in Tampa Bay that's not named Leonard Fournette that is showing out right now. Rachaad White. 22 carries, 105 yards. Fournette, I believe, is a little upset from losing playing time to that, but when you're handing the ball off and
do better,
getting 105 yards as a rookie, you got to keep giving him the ball. There's no other. You can't not give him the ball because you have Leonard Fournette.
If he's doing that, you got to feed that man.
And Fournette's really good too. So that could be a thing looking forward up to playoff time about the Tampa Bay running attack, because they do have what seems to be 2 great running backs. So that could be a whole nother dynamic, take pressure off Brady, and they could be a different team. And ever since they started running the ball with him more, their offense has looked a little bit better. They only scored 21 points last week, but that was enough to win. So the Seahawks have a pretty decent defense. That's what's kept them in games most of the time. So we'll talk about probably the most upsetting game last week.
What's that?
For us, anyway, since we're in Illinois, is Bears falling to the Lions.
We have to talk about. Can we skip over this?
I did not really see that one coming. I know the Lions have some weapons and are able to score some points, but
that one hurt.
the Bears scoring 30 points. If Bears score 30 points, they got to win that game.
The Bears have been scoring. Can we just point that out? The Bears have been scoring. They've been getting in the end zone. Justin Fields balling out. Love to see it. But when you lose by 1 point to the Detroit Lions, I lost sleep over that game.
You can't be too upset because they are scoring points. They look a lot better. Bears look like they have found the quarterback of the future.
Definitely.
Justin Fields seems to be the answer.
He is
he just set a record 2 weeks ago for rushing yards in a regular season game.
Yeah,
so
he is the guy.
They got to get some more parts around him. It almost would be better for the Bears to lose out. They won't, and they're still gonna go out there and compete. You can tell that they want to win as many games as possible.
I love the way Justin Fields is going out and like making the plays like happen for himself. He's not necessarily getting put in the best position to sit in the pocket and execute and kind of like pick defenses apart. He's kind of doing the whole like the pressured rollouts, running, tough guy in the first down, making those
great decisions.
Making great decision football. I guess where I was getting at.
One really bad decision last week, which cost him the game.
That's what cost him. Yeah,
he threw a pick six when he could have just threw it out of bounds. Even if it was intentionally grounding, you don't throw that pick six, you win that game.
And that's where he's still he's still figuring it out, but he's making he's on the uptrend.
Yeah,
so
it's still only his second year. You're gonna see some throws like that still almost out of every quarterback that comes in.
Like you're gonna lose a couple games, but as long as you keep putting up, dude, if you keep going and putting up 30 points, and you go out there and find people in the end zone, and I mean he's obviously using his legs a lot, but basically if you find a way to put points on the board. I don't know how we lose to the Detroit Lions. I'm going to be honest with you there. Did not see that one coming, especially by a point. You let them score 30. I mean, we scored 30. You let them score 31. That was kind of like...
That one
hurt, but...
Last 4 games for the Bears, they scored 33, 29, 32, and 30. So they're averaging about 30 points a game last 4 games. It looks like they're kind of letting Justin Fields be Justin Fields finally. I think that's what they were missing last year with Nagy.
And it's noticeable.
They want to let him loose. They want him to be a pocket quarterback passer, and that's not what he is.
No, not at all.
That'd be like telling Lamar Jackson to stay in the pocket.
Yeah, no, he's an athlete, man.
Not what you do.
You got to let him show off what he's got, and that's what he's doing, scoring 30 points.
That's his highest skill, and you got to let your quarterback use his skills to be successful. And last year they weren't letting him use those running skills, and it cost him a lot of games.
He does need to brush up.
He looked actually bad.
He does need to brush up on a couple of those minor details, but I mean that's any evolving quarterback, which I believe
especially thrown into a Bears fire that doesn't really have any wide receivers. They had Mooney, but now they got Claypool, and that kind of opens up the field a little bit more because you got 2 wide receivers to focus on instead of just stopping this one guy. And then you got Cole Kmet kind of breaking out too, so he looks good.
He's been breaking out.
You got a tight end that's solid. You got 2 wide receivers that are now solid. You got a great running game. If you can throw Fields in with the running backs, because you got Montgomery and Herbert. I think Herbert's hurt though.
Yeah,
but the future's looking better in Chicago, and that's what you kind of wanted to see out of this year. You couldn't really expect too much out of Chicago, especially in a division with Green Bay, who's not even in the lead. You got 8-1 Minnesota, so unless you can sneak into a wild card, your season's not looking like it's going to be extended through the regular season. So
yeah, let's move on.
We already talked about the Vikings-Bills because that was a crazy game. This one was just a bore fest. 10-17, Titans beat the Broncos, and that was kind of a regular Broncos game. They have a great defense to keep them in the game, but Russell Wilson was supposed to come and bring some offense to that team and be able to score, 20, 25 plus points a game, and I don't know if they've even reached that mark this year. It looks like the highest is 23 points by the Broncos this year. And you're not going to win many games doing that. You got 2 games over 20 points, and that's it. When you go out and make a huge signing in Russell Wilson, and your offense is the one that's struggling still. So
yeah, the Seahawks won that one.
Yeah, it's surprising because Geno Smith actually looks great
Yeah, Seahawks are up,
and
on
that's
that.
surprising because the previous Geno Smith didn't seem as good as he is playing right now. It's actually great to see, incredible. So we'll go Jaguars Chiefs. Chiefs pulled that one out 27-17. They got up to a 20-0 lead, so it was kind of over in the second half or first half, but Jaguars got a touchdown at the end to kind of keep it close. The Jaguars actually beat them in the second half by, 4 points? I think it was.
And Trevor Lawrence is going out looking good too.
Yeah. So they scored 10. They beat them by 3 points in the second half. So that's something to take away from that game if you're a Jaguars fan. You did beat the Chiefs second half. I know the Chiefs probably weren't pressing that hard.
Who's the running back? What's his name?
Etienne.
Etienne. Yeah, he didn't really do much. I feel like he was quiet. Yeah, 11 carries, 45 yards. Yeah,
so.
He's usually one of those that puts a little spark in there.
You can basically call Etienne a rookie. He's not a rookie, but last year he had a really bad injury that put him out the whole year. So this is really his first year as the main running back, and you're gonna have a couple down games. I mean,
oh yeah, everybody will.
He's still an incredible running back. He's still your running back of the future in Jacksonville. So there's not too much to talk about this game. Mahomes threw 4 touchdown passes and doing Mahomes things to a kind of a bad team. So not really any playoff indications there or anything. So Browns, Dolphins, another kind of what you would expect. Dolphins stomped them 39-17.
Two of the 3 touchdowns.
3 tutties, yeah.
Like 300 yards. What do you have? 285. 25 for 32.
And
let's go to it. It's like 75%.
That trade that they made at the deadline to get, Bradley Chubb and what's his name, Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson went off, so that trade has improved Miami even more, and they were already looking extremely dangerous, and now they have a true running game. He did 17 carries, 119 yards, and a touchdown. So that is looking very good for Miami. I know it was against kind of a bad Cleveland team, but still, 119 yards is nothing to, look past. That's still a great game. Probably top 5 rusher of last week. So I don't even think I guess he did have 285, but 3 tutties. Brissett for Cleveland didn't even do too bad either. 22 for 35, 212 and a tutty. So that's not awful. But that's kind of what you expected out of that game, was Dolphins to come out there and just beat them down.
Saw it coming.
I'm going to go over to the Giants and Texans, and the Giants pull off another win. They're at 7 wins. At the beginning of this year, if you would have told me that they had 7 wins,
7-2.
I would have been like, yeah, maybe if they get lucky and beat a couple teams. But dude, 9 weeks in, and they have, or 10 weeks in, and they have 7 wins. Dude, that's huge.
When Saquon Barkley is healthy, that Giants team is an entirely different team. Everything changes. Everything changes. Like 150 yards and a tutty? Love it. Brand new team.
That's the key for the Giants, is keeping him healthy. So Danny Dimes has to, complete enough passes to take the pressure off of Saquon so that he doesn't have to run it every down.
Over, yeah.
And that opens up more holes for Saquon. And
2 touchdowns, 200 yards.
Yeah, when Jones throws the ball, he's been fairly accurate, and that's been Jones's problem his career so far. I wouldn't say whole career because it's not a very long career yet. But
there's just been too much pressure on him. Like when Saquon's out, he has to make a play. When Saquon's in, he doesn't even need to throw the ball that much. He just needs to make the right pass and make the actual play happen. And then when Saquon's in, totally different dynamic. The whole shift changes. Defenses don't know what to do, and it's. He just needs to show up, man.
Yeah. Jones went 13 for 17, 197 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he had 17 attempts, and Saquon had 35 carries.
Exactly.
So you kind of want Saquon to have
even
less.
that a little bit more. Yeah, the workload's a little high,
but keeping the ball out of Danny Dimes' hands and winning a game is very positive. And I know they probably were running the ball more because they're facing a bad team in Houston, 1-7-1.
And Saquon wants the ball, but I mean it's like a load management thing.
You have to keep him healthy,
especially with a guy who gets he's known for just getting beaten up and the injury. Well, that's why you're having 35 carries on there. Your body can only take so much.
Yeah.
So
you actually don't want that many carries probably by Barkley too many times in the rest of the season, but kind of a weak defense. They probably
you're going up against the Texans. Shout out Lovie Smith.
And the Texans, they're probably the worst team in football.
Yeah.
But they don't look like they're bottom worst team in history type of team.
Oh, I was going to say in the league, I was like, I disagree. They don't look good. But they don't look like the worst team I've ever seen.
But they have some key pieces in that team that they can build around to try to turn around, their seasons, start getting more positive, and just more wins in general. Dameon Pierce, that's your future right there. Keep him healthy, and
I think you're being optimistic.
Well, yeah, you have to because they're 1-7-1. It can't be too much more negative on them.
I think that they are rock bottom. They have a long, hard uphill battle, and
they need to find a
hopefully
quarterback.
something happens, for them. But I think they're going nowhere.
Well, they
anytime soon.
Have the number 1 pick next year, so that'll be another cornerstone
let's
player.
Hope it does something for them.
But they're far away. But I mean, Dameon Pierce was a huge pickup. I think is he a rookie? So that was at least a good pickup. Pick up another cornerstone player. Either on you probably would want to go defense or get a stud quarterback, like a clear stud too. Because I think there's some good defensive players in this next draft. So we'll see. Not really paying too much attention to the Texans besides Pierce. So we'll talk about the Saints Steelers, another kind of snooze fest between two bad teams. New Orleans is at 3-7. Pittsburgh's now at 3-6.
After that one, yeah, there wasn't really much going on there. Kamara.
I'm shocked how bad the Saints offense looks. Scoring 10 points on the Steelers is. I know Steelers have a good defense, but I guess they don't have Michael Thomas, so that hurts. They don't really have a set quarterback.
Was it his toe, his finger?
A turf toe, probably.
Turf toe.
That's usually what Michael Thomas is out with. It's a turf toe.
Yeah, it's
but I could be wrong, but
you're probably not.
Yeah, neither quarterback threw over 200 yards. I know Pickett was at 199, but
Andy Dalton had a bad game.
2 interceptions.
Is that what it was?
17 for 20. 17 for 27. I can't talk.
Sounded on me. Big words.
He threw a touchdown, but 2 interceptions. You're not going to win too many games throwing 2 interceptions.
Both of the running backs didn't show up.
Yeah, but
it was a boring game.
That was actually probably Najee Harris's one of his better games so far. 20 carries for 99 yards.
If you watch that game, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's time you're not getting back. Moving on.
Another pretty bad between two bad teams. Indy and Las Vegas. Indy won that 25-20. I know they just fired their coach, so they have an interim head coach who's basically just a temporary head coach for now.
I know what I mean.
The previous coach, well, maybe they don't, man. But I think they benched Matt Ryan. The old head coach benched Matt Ryan, and then this, temporary head coach comes in, throws in Matt Ryan, and they actually end up putting 25 points, which is probably one of the more points they've scored this season.
That was one of those, like, watching two subpar teams battle it out, because the game wasn't, like, terrible, but it was watching two not so great teams battle.
Yeah, and
that's
just tough to watch.
Yeah, it was weird.
They actually put up a lot of numbers, a lot of good numbers by almost all their top players. Matt Ryan, 21-28, 222 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. No interceptions is huge for Matt Ryan, because Indy's defense is good enough that if you don't turn the ball over, they're going to keep you within the game.
And he's kind of like a forceful guy when it gets under pressure, at least later in his career.
That's clearly Matt Ryan's best game this season, too.
Easily.
Derek Carr didn't even do too bad either. 24 for 38, 248
like
yards,
I said,
two touchdowns.
Not too bad.
It was an exciting game offensively.
It was just one of those, like, you're watching two subpar teams battle it out. So it looked like hard, tough sloppy played football, and it was weird. It was weird watching it. The whole time I was thinking, like they're playing tough, and I can see it, but it just like looks all over the place.
James Taylor looks. Weird. That was probably his best game of the year. 22 carries, 147 yards and a touchdown. Josh Jacobs, 78 yards and a touchdown. Devontae Adams, 126 yards, 9 catches, a touchdown. So the offense is balled out, but like
yeah, he's still doing his thing too.
It's just hard to watch because they're bad. Both teams.
I just love seeing Devontae Adams just still do his thing.
Yeah.
He still finds a way to get into the end zone, get his yards, get his touchdowns, get his catches.
I actually had Indy at 5-11-1 as my projection, and they're at 4-5-1 right now. So that's actually probably a little better than what I have them. What did you have them at? 6-10-1. So not good, but they found a win. So
like I said, not a good team, but they'll find a way to battle, and it'll be the weirdest thing to watch. But we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about my upset, the Packers over the Dallas Cowboys, 31-28. Dallas looked in control of that game. End of the third quarter is 28-14, so they're in charge of that game. And then fourth quarter through overtime, Dallas didn't score a point. And you got to talk about Dallas closing games because I don't think that's the first time this year that they lost in the fourth quarter without either scoring points or very little points, like a field goal towards the end of the game. So they need to work on finishing because they're a great team, but you go into Lambeau. I mean, going into Lambeau is a hard
it's Lambeau
task.
Field, man.
Yeah, it's hard to beat the Packers in Lambeau. They don't. You look at their record in Lambeau the last probably 20 years, and
a lot of people's record in Lambeau. It's Lambeau.
Yeah,
that's a tough one.
But you're in charge of that game. You're 28-14 at the end of the third quarter, and you end up losing in overtime. Is tough to take because you're controlling the Packers' offense. They only scored 14 points in 3 quarters, and Cowboys, he had 28 points in 3 quarters, so you'd think that's just going to end up being a blowout. The game's already over. And
there was a lot of that this week, though, so I wasn't surprised because there was a lot of those, like, very late, one team's pretty much dominating for one team to just come back and completely turn it around.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Dak Prescott probably is beating himself up over that game. 2 interceptions. He had 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. That's probably the reason why they ended up losing that game.
Yeah, those are 2 probably. One of them was in the fourth quarter? If I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure.
I think one of them was in the fourth quarter, and it's one of those you gotta, kind of sharpen around the edges, because that'll lose you a game.
Both teams' rushing attack actually did really good. 22 carries for Pollard, 115 yards and a touchdown. Aaron Jones, 24 carries, 138 yards and a touchdown.
Can't be mad at it.
CeeDee Lamb, 11 catches, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 receptions by Watson for the Packers.
What about Christian, man? Christian with the 3 tutties.
107 yards and 3 touchdowns. So they weren't like huge gaining plays where it's like 3 40-yard tutties.
He's a rookie too, isn't he? Rookie, or it's his second year? It's no more than that.
I think he might be a rookie.
Yeah,
I can check.
I remember seeing that stat, and it was a big deal because this man.
Yeah, he's a rookie.
Rookie, right?
And he's done.
Yeah.
Actually, that was his best game of the year because he only has 243 yards and 107 yards came that game. So
yeah, shout out Christian Watson.
He balled out. Maybe that's a target that.
Don't do it against the Bears.
Maybe that's a target for Aaron Rodgers to focus on a little bit because I think everyone assumed Lazard was going to be their top wide receiver this year, and I think he still is right now.
I was going to say he's doing
Watson
all right.
Still spreads the field out a little more. You can't focus on one person. You have 2 people that you can throw to now.
When you have 4 receptions for 107 yards and 3 touchdowns, give that man the ball.
Yeah, and as a defense going in on that, you have to focus on him.
Yeah,
now.
And it opens up the field for Lazard because if you have a guy who obviously can make the play, it doesn't need to be the big spectacular one, but it's the one that puts the points on the board. It opens up the field, and then you still have obviously Aaron Jones in there doing his thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that opens up the field even more for Aaron
They needed
Jones.
somebody to step up because Devontae's gone. I don't think necessarily somebody will come in and step up and like fill his spot, but they needed somebody to. That's what I'm saying. He can go wherever. He's obviously on the Raiders still doing Devontae Adams things, but they needed somebody to step up so that Aaron Rodgers could feel a little bit more comfortable. He's still like, it's obvious that they're 4-6, and I think it's because Aaron Rodgers is like a shell of himself, and it's really weird to see because there's plays that
I haven't seen it before.
Yeah, exactly. He typically will like go in and just pick defenses apart like an absolute madman. Like his methodology when he's like playing is just crazy because you can tell he's like it's like a science to him, and he's just a little off his game. So I think once he completely, I don't want to say completely comes back, but if he comes back to any form of his normal self, the Packers are a force to be reckoned with. I don't think it's really anything. I mean, Minnesota's taken their foot on people's necks and haven't really taken it off. So, is it a little too late? Maybe, but do they have something to play for?
Climb
Sure.
into a wild card.
That's what I'm saying. There's
this
there's
win
something
for the
there.
Packers.
And Aaron Rodgers is the guy. Don't count him out.
Yeah.
Don't count him out.
This game kind of saved their season in that regard because if someone else takes the East, which is probably going to be the Eagles,
Definitely.
not the Cowboys,
Probably the Eagles.
the Packers and Cowboys could be fighting for that same wild card spot, and they're going to go to the head-to-head.
Yeah, and you don't want that. Especially, it depends on what Aaron Rodgers you're going to get, but you don't want that. If Aaron Rodgers flips the script on what he's been doing, they are a team to be reckoned with. They'll be an absolute force in the league. So, you heard it here first. But you guys already knew that.
But beginning of the year, they did not look like that team that we were expecting out of them. So, we'll see.
Still some
what
games
the future
left.
to come. So,
still got what is it, like 8 weeks left? There's still time.
We'll talk about your upset pick that you got right.
What was it, the Cardinals?
27-17, the Cardinals beat the Rams. Kind of manhandled them.
Yeah, the Rams have fell off the radar completely.
This is the worst Super Bowl hangover I've ever seen.
Yeah, they fell off
ever seen.
my radar anyway. I expected, not necessarily, I didn't, back-to-back, I didn't think anything like that. But I expected you just won a Super Bowl, you're going to come back.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl hangover, is it real? Sure, we'll give them a little bit of slack, I guess you can say, but I didn't expect you to come in. You're 3-6, and you got the score is 27-17, but they got whomped. If you watch the game, they got whomped.
3 at one point.
Yeah, they were
24-10 at one point. Yeah, they were 27-10.
They were getting beat up and scored a little bit at late at the end to make it not so bad on paper, but they were getting, to
put it in perspective.
They were getting beat up.
The Rams scored a touchdown with 7 seconds left, so they're down 27-10 with 10 seconds left.
Yeah,
so
that sounds about right.
They got some insurance points, but
it just looked better on paper. Yeah. The game was.
It just looked a little closer than it actually was, and it still
wasn't. If I had to guess the score after just watching the game without actually knowing what the score was, it would have been a lot different. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So they got a touchdown late in the game to make the score seem a little close, but that game was not close. Arizona's offense looks a lot better with Hopkins now.
Oh yeah.
Now that he's back, he has a weapon downfield. I don't know.
Very obvious one.
Yeah, James Conner didn't really do too much yardage wise. He did get 2 touchdowns, so he's probably finishing towards within the 5-yard line or so on both of those touchdowns.
Which is really all you can ask for. He's like that third down, that tough run that you just need to get a first down, get a touchdown on goal line. Like, you just need him to punch it through.
Yeah, James Conner, 4-yard rushing touchdown. James Conner, 9-yard rushing touchdown.
Beautiful.
So it wasn't a huge
That's all
play.
we want.
That is what his goal is there, to finish those drives off. So that's a positive sight for Arizona. I still think their season's almost over. 4-6 is kind of is same where the Packers are both at 4-6, and they both have the offense to turn it around. They could win out.
They're good teams.
Yeah, they have the ability if they wanted to win out the rest of the season. Is it likely that either team are? No, but it's possible. They have the ability to do it. It's what team you're gonna get, what Aaron Rodgers you're gonna get, what Kyler Murray you're gonna get. So.
And Cam Akers, what's he been doing? Where's he been?
Nothing.
He's still on vacation.
He's still celebrating his Super Bowl win.
Super Bowl hangover, but is he actually hungover? Because I don't know.
Playing like it.
Yeah, that man's. I have him in a fantasy league. I thought he was going to, do something for me.
All right, we'll move on to one of the.
Crazy.
It was actually one of the more exciting games of the week. Obviously, besides the Vikings Bills, because that's probably going to be the most exciting game of the year. So, San Francisco ended up pulling it out 22-16, but San Francisco was down 16-10
I
at
didn't
halftime.
watch this game, but this game on paper looks so fun to me.
Chargers didn't score in the second half. You scored 16 in the first half and scoreless in the second half. You're going to lose
and that's
games.
why you lost. Yeah, and that's why you lost.
You have to keep the pressure on, especially against San Francisco. Especially now that they have Christian McCaffrey. You can't.
All gas, no brakes.
Yeah, your offense can't go stagnant, or you're gonna fall out of the game because San Francisco is going to continue to put points on. So I know Chargers have a good defense, and they showed it in the first half. This is a great offense for San Francisco, and Chargers held them to 10 points in the first half. So that you should win that game holding San Francisco to 10 points and a half.
You just can't go scoreless in the second half.
Yeah,
against a team like that.
First half they only scored 10. Second half they only scored 12. Chargers, you should win that game doing that.
Correct.
To this good of offense, and
they
fell apart second half.
Their defense came to play too, because the Chargers.
Justin Herbert didn't have a great game. 21 for 35, 196, a touchdown and interception.
And a pick.
Usually Herbert's over 300 yards almost every week, so that defense for San Francisco really shut them down. I know he didn't have Keenan Allen, so he's missing one of his big weapons. I think he's back this week, though.
Probably the biggest weapon offensively. And then you got Jimmy Garoppolo still not throwing a touchdown. That's crazy, too.
Eckler, 6 carries, 24 yards.
I like him. I like him a lot. And he was nowhere to be found.
He can't be having 24 yards
he was
in
nowhere
a game.
to be found.
He's got to be a big part of that offense. Not just to get more yards and make big plays, but keep the ball out of Garoppolo's hands and keep the ball away from San Francisco.
And I feel like he's like a hype man
24
too.
Yards
when he plays better, he's like a how would you say it?
Emotional leader.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's like a hype man, and he gets everybody hyped around him when he does what he is capable of doing. He didn't do that obviously last week, but I didn't watch it too much. I don't know how he ran the ball or what he did, but I mean on paper it didn't look like he did a whole lot of anything. So
Chargers actually kicked a field goal going into the end of the first half, so they had momentum coming out in the second half, and they did nothing with it.
So I lost.
But Chargers fall to 5-4, which is kind of surprising for me.
They should both be similar, aren't they?
Yeah, they're both 5-4 now. Actually, both these teams at 5-4 surprised me because San Francisco.
They're both better than that.
NFC runner-up last year.
Yeah, they're both.
And they were when we did these predictions. I think they had a losing record.
I don't doubt
it. And Chargers have a great offense. They're one of the highest. I don't know if they're the highest scoring, but yards wise, last year they're a top 5 team. I think.
I don't doubt it.
So them only scoring 16 points is huge for the 49ers defense. Good sign to hold that team to 16 yards, but
they had to have done something.
You're throwing up a lot of red flags in the LA for Chargers only scoring 16 points. That's shocking. So we'll go to the last game. This was the biggest upset
no one saw coming.
Probably of the year.
No one saw this coming.
Because I know the Jets beat the Bills and that was a huge upset, but
shout out to my Commanders
You
fans.
could still see the Jets beating the Bills. They have the ability to.
Yeah.
You didn't think Washington had the ability to beat the Eagles.
Shout out to my Commanders.
And they won by 11.
They earned it too. They earned every part of that.
It was completely shocking. Jalen Hurts, 17 for 26, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a big interception. That one was big because that could have changed the game a lot.
And Heineke didn't do a whole lot of really much to
yeah, just enough to keep him in the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say he made the right pass.
211 yards and an interception.
No touchdowns. Yeah, I was gonna say he didn't jump off the page and win him the game. They just played good team football. And the Eagles just.
Brian Robinson for the Washington was kind of the control of that offense. 26 carries, 86 yards, and a touchdown. And that keeps the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands, so they can't score as many points. But they were down.
What were their touchdown plays?
20-14 first half. They got a field goal third quarter, and then a field goal and touchdown the fourth quarter. So the thing with the Commanders, they kept scoring, and that's what they needed to do coming into a game against the Eagles, who were undefeated, scoring at will. It looked like dominating teams. You have to keep scoring against them, or you don't have a chance, and that's exactly what Washington did, and they came out and won that game. Completely shocking. Kind of saved Washington's season because they're at 5-5 now, so that's actually better than what I would have expected out of them. Yeah, you have Washington at 8-9. I have them at 5-12, and they're already at 5 wins. So they're shocking me winning some of these games, especially against the Eagles, who looked like the best team in football.
I thought they'd pull a couple wins out. Like I saw them being an okay team, obviously with what I projected them at, but I didn't see them. I thought Philadelphia was gonna walk right through them. They weren't even gonna be there.
We're gonna show you guys our predictions compared to what the standings are now. We're going to show you our predictions at the end of the year that we took to compare them, how we're doing so far, how our predictions looking. So we're going to go look at my AFC real quick. Dolphins, Jets, Bills. Dolphins at 7 wins. Jets and Bills at 6. So that's kind of that's pretty accurate. I had New England Patriots at 5-12. They're at 5-4 right now, so they're doing a lot better than what I thought. They're actually the favorites today in New England against the Jets, which surprises me. That's actually my upset. Jets look great, but the Patriots defense is keeping them in games. And then the North, the Browns and Steelers at 3 wins. That's kind of where I have them. And then Baltimore at 6-3, Bengals at 5-4. That's kind of where I have them. Nothing's really standing out to me that's like way off from the predictions.
I feel like we had the teams kind of how they were doing so far, kind of just continuing the pace.
Let me move yours down here. Our AFC divisions kind of look
they got to be somewhat similar. Yeah.
You didn't have the Jets doing as good, 9-8. I have them at 12-5. With the way they're playing,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I love watching this Jets team.
I was gonna say
because it's been my whole life since they've had an exciting team like this,
and that's where that 9-8 record I projected because I was like, it's
still
the Jets.
Yeah,
I'm like, I want them to be good, and they look good.
Bad
and are they doing good? Sure, but like, has it always been the same Jets? Like, I get the same Jets team all the time, so it's fine. That's why I said like I'm fine with this being different because I want a new Jets team. I want to see something.
And this is a
new
Jets team that we have not seen.
New York needs this for the Jets and the Giants. They need both of that. So I'm totally here for it.
So the one that stands out to me in your NFC prediction is you had the New Orleans at 7-10. I don't know if they're gonna get the 7 wins because they look bad right now.
No, they won't.
Bad.
I saw them doing a little bit. Obviously different than what they're doing now, but I saw them showing up a little bit more, and nothing's happening. So I might have been a little optimistic in that prediction, but
the Saints have been good like that, and they pull out wins that you're not really expecting, but they're good enough to keep up with them.
I expected them to do what they've always done, and that's still just stay in. They weren't.
Average,
I had them at a 7-10. I didn't think they were. I saw them under 500. You know, not playing great football, but at least winning a couple of games, squeaking a couple out, and they're just going in and
I don't know. So. I don't see 4 more wins on their schedule
me either,
get them to that. And then the Bears,
you know,
Bears
we're not
fans,
talk
so
about
10-7, but
hey, you know,
they've lost some close games that if they win those, that's gonna be pretty accurate.
So
but they haven't been able to pull out those, like losing to the Lions.
The prediction I gave for Chicago is the Justin Fields that we see now is my inner Chicago Bear fan, you know, popping out and being a little optimistic, saying, you know, Justin Fields has some rough around the edges spots that he can sharpen up on, sure, but my prediction for the Chicago Bears record reflects that Justin Fields. I think there's just a little bit of the minor details.
Hopeful in there.
Yeah, there's some details we got to clean up on, but I don't see them being too far away from that. Look at the games. What are the Bears at right now? 3-7. They're easily 6-7 if they just find a
those,
way.
yeah,
The
to pull those
lost by
close games
3
out.
one game, lost by 1 last week, and then I think lost by maybe like 4 or 5. I think was like 3 weeks ago. So they're not too far away from that. Those minor details are going to get them the wins in that column whenever.
And they can't find
that does
those little
happen.
details right now.
We're working on it, dude. Justin Fields will get
The
there.
future in Chicago looks great right now
I'm
because Fields
here
looks
for
like
it.
a top 10 quarterback just this year.
And I
Imagine
didn't-
next year when
I
they
didn't
have
see
more
them
things.
unloading on the defense either. I didn't see them just giving everybody away. But
Yeah.
that prediction was Justin Fields doing what he's been doing, and the Chicago Bears defense not being what it is now. So it's football. Anything can happen.
Yep.
So.
And your East looks pretty accurate.
Mine does. Which
Philadelphia at 16-1, they can't lose a game now because no one saw them beating Commanders.
And they will
I didn't
not
see
lose a
them.
game now.
And it's possible because they are that team. Maybe this
Shout out Wesley Snipes.
maybe this loss to Washington kicks a fire under them again because at the beginning of the year they were unstoppable. And maybe they got a little bit of like where they're coasting through the weeks, their weaker side of the schedule, and they underestimated Washington. You didn't give them a chance. I said it's possible because it's a division game. Nobody knows you.
I think my exact words were there's absolutely no chance.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, it's a division game. Division opponents know you the best. I even said at the beginning of the year, or at the beginning of our podcast when we were going through our predictions, I said Philadelphia's only loss is probably going to be in the division because those teams know you the best. And their first loss comes to Washington in the division, which is a complete shock, but the part that in the division wasn't, as surprising. And I think your West looks pretty accurate compared to what it is right now.
Yeah, pretty similar.
Except the Rams. We're going to get a special guest here coming
Welcome back, brother.
We got to go to full cam for him.
Yeah, the Rams, I don't know what that was about. I expected
He's back.
I expected better.
He's back. Tell him hi. Go meow into the mic, man.
No, I want English out of you.
That would be even more weird, I think.
If we don't go viral from that. He's just shaking ass.
I was just making
That's
sure he was
alright.
going to get over there. And then we'll look we already did my AFC. We'll look at my NFC. And our AFC and NFC look pretty the same. I actually had the Saints at 7-10 too, which is they're just struggling. So it's just
We expected a better Saints team.
Yeah.
We've known the Saints teams that we've been getting for at least the past
10
years.
15
I was going to
years.
say since I've been watching football pretty religiously, which isn't, I'm not a crazy fanatic of the New Orleans Saints, but they've been better than they've been, so I gave them a little bit more, than what they're showing me. But
And they've been good enough to catch your attention because
it's like the Jets.
been
Like
such a
I've
solid-
always kind of ruled the Jets out. So now that they're doing great, I love to see it, but I've never
still expect them to be the
witnessed this.
Jets.
Yeah, I've never witnessed this. So for me to see this Jets team, it's the same thing like me looking at this New Orleans team. It's
the Packers
the
turn
different
it
side of
around.
the spectrum. Same with the Packers, dude.
10-7, but they're what are they 4-6 right now? 4-7. So they have to win out to be accurate for that. So
A lot of weird things going on in football right
I have
now.
Philadelphia losing one more game, 15-2. I mean I think that's projected to be the best record is 15-2 than them and the Chiefs. So
What are the Bills? What do you have the Bills at?
14-3.
What do I have the Bills at? Losing 2 games, I think.
16-1.
16-1. Oh shit.
So that's already wrong.
We know, Matt. Yeah, we get it. We can read, bro.
I kind of
Yes.
my West is actually looking pretty accurate because since the Arizona Rams are struggling, but the Rams I don't really see the Rams winning. 5 more games? Because they look bad, and
Yeah, I don't either.
all right, we'll talk about this upcoming week now. We'll start with our upsets. Do you want to go first on that?
Yeah, man. Because, go Bears.
And it's actually the first one on the list. So that's
Yeah, so we have the Bears playing against the Falcons at home. So, the Falcons home in Atlanta. So, -3, I think Justin Fields is going to go. He's getting better every week. and they're obviously
And that's
scoring.
a great
And they're scoring the
sign.
ball. And I mean, I think the Falcons. I thought Detroit was going to be that game that he was going to come out and really. I mean, he has the energy and the tenacity and he's showing up. But I think that last week is what I wanted it to be. I thought that was the game where he was going to kind of get
Probably should
his confidence. You know, because he's been playing football to get you confident. But when you're losing by 3 points, you know, by a point, you're within these 1-score games, and they're shootouts. I thought that was going to be one of those things that, you know, built a little confidence for him, but not so much because you're still losing that game and it's so close. That has to hurt a little bit. So
that could make him focus even more.
That's where I think
more.
him continuously getting these 30-point games or close to, or at least averaging
That's
over the
huge
last
for the
4
Bears.
games, whatever it is. That's huge for the Bears, and that's huge for Justin Fields. That's huge for the team as far as just morale, everything in Chicago. I think is I guess the defense could use a little bit more work, but as far as moving forward,
Yeah, now that you got rid of your best players.
There's something to look at and be hopeful for. I think he just needs something to get that confidence in him that says, I can, when it gets to these close, you know, to the wire games in the late fourth quarter, I can take this over and I can win this game. I wanted to see it last week. I think this is a good one to do it with in Atlanta. So this is where I think he does it.
They are a underdog in Atlanta. Usually the home team gets 3 points automatically. So technically, like if you think about it,
it's an even fight.
It's an even game.
Yeah, this is about as even a fight as I think it's gonna
get. The Bears will pull this one out. And I was also gonna comment on if you've noticed, especially last year, especially beginning of this year, Soldier Field has not been loud. They've been more boos than cheers.
And it's weird.
And doing that to your team just puts the morale down. And now that they're releasing Justin Fields, you let him use his skills and everything, that stadium's going to be back to loud.
He just needs something to quiet that outside noise. Because when he dials in, he's an athlete. Athletes will show up, and he's smart. He has a good high football IQ for being the second year. Yeah. He makes those smart plays, and he's not. He might have started off, you know, forcing things, getting his feet a little wet, but now he's playing smart. I don't want to say smart football. I think he has a little way to go, but he's playing smarter football.
He's playing Justin Fields.
He's playing Justin Fields, and
he was not doing that last year.
He's using the things that work for him. His athleticism, you know what I mean. His IQ of, you know. Right. Not making that dumb play where he might have forced it, you know, a couple of games ago, or whatever the case may be.
And I blame Nagy on that for last year because your quarterback's not going to grow if you're forcing him to stay in the pocket and just kind of
do what you want him to do, not necessarily what he knows he can do.
He's not a pocket quarterback.
He's two different quarterbacks we're seeing from last year and this year. And which one's better? I mean, you can obviously see it. He's scoring 30-point games. So I think...
And he's gotten like 100 rushing yards in the last, 3 or 4 games?
I think this one, he might not necessarily... I don't think this one is going to necessarily be a 30-point game. I think he's going to win it, and it'll be noticeable. It's not like obviously the points for Chicago are going to be higher in my prediction, but I think they're going to go out and dominate the Falcons. Not dominate as in like beat them by 30, but they're going to go out and show them that you can't beat us. And David was right.
They should win this game because Atlanta is really struggling. Doesn't look like a good team at all. And Chicago is getting better by week. Atlanta's
moving down. Chicago's on its way up. So that's where I saw that when it jumped off the page for me.
What up, Wesley?
Go Bears.
Did you see our shout out to you earlier when we were talking about the Eagles?
Hey, clip it. Clip that.
If this makes you feel any better about it, bro, look at our predictions for the Eagles.
Like, subscribe.
He already subscribed and gifted, so.
Gift again.
Look at our projections for Philadelphia. If you're really that upset about it, 15-2, 16-1.
That's mine, by the way, 16-1. Let me hear it in the comments.
You gotta win out for that to be accurate. What did he say? Oh, you weren't here yet. Well, we shouted you out because we still have the Eagles winning.
I hit it with the Wesley Snipes name drop.
You're welcome. All right, we'll move on to the Browns and Bills. That should be kind of a stomp down by Buffalo, especially after losing to the Jets and then the Vikings.
That'll be quick. That'll be easy. Painless. Sorry, Cleveland.
But if Cleveland keeps this game close, there's signs of concern in Buffalo because
I'm gonna say it one more time. There's no chance that Cleveland
you said that last week
Cleveland wins this game.
about the Eagles.
If they somehow find a way to win this game,
Every time you say that, they lose. So
it's one time. It's one time. You say that after. If the Browns win this one, all right, whatever.
I was actually hoping that game wouldn't get moved. I understand it now after seeing the pictures. That the amount of snow Buffalo got is ridiculous. It's like 6 feet of snow.
Did you see the what would you call it, a stat or just like a fun fact where it was like they're getting 6 feet of snow and Singletary's 5'9"?
Yeah. They're supposed to get 6 feet of snow
that?
and both their running backs
Yeah,
are
who made
smaller
this?
than 6 feet.
Can we fire
that
this
was
guy?
actually hilarious.
Short Kings are up right now.
I think a snow game for Cleveland against Buffalo, and Buffalo would have been Cleveland's only chance because I think Cleveland does have the better running backs overall, and that would have been a running game because it's snowing like crazy. You can't control the ball as much, in the snow.
Yeah,
It's
I think if
slippery.
it was in Buffalo, if they found a way to manage that like weather in that field, that was their only
That
chance.
was Cleveland's
their only chance. So
now they're playing in a dome. It's gonna be warm. Buffalo should win this by 15.
there's
to 20.
no chance for Cleveland. But as you know,
We'll talk about the Eagles and the Colts now. That should be a good easy win for the Eagles, but we said that last week.
I think the Eagles are either going to blow them out or the Colts are going to find some weird, crazy
Way to stay
way
in
to
the
win.
game.
I think win. I think they might find the weirdest way to win. Sorry, Wes, but I think it's the latter. I think the Eagles are going to blow them
It
out.
depends on
I think they win by 17 points. At
what
least.
Colts team you get. It's a new, temporary coach, and they came out last week and surprised. Who was it? Not really surprised the Raiders, but they were able to put up some points against the Raiders. But the Raiders' defense is not very good. The Eagles' defense is. The Eagles should be able to shut these dudes down.
I just think Jonathan Taylor's due.
That's kind of the only player on the Colts that you need to focus on is shutting down Taylor because if you shut down Taylor, who else do they have?
He's the money man.
Who else do they have?
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I
was gonna say a couple players on their team, but I just know their names. They're not
Matt
actually.
Ryan.
They're not actually gonna do anything. Yeah.
A couple no-name wide receivers in it.
Alec Pierce.
What are we on?
This is your upset.
Oh, I scrolled down. There's an ad on my schedule.
Come on.
Jets versus Patriots. It's in Patriots. Patriots are a 3.5 favorite. Obviously, as a home team, you get 3 points.
I was gonna say I think that's just being the home
they're
team. It's
still
pretty even.
taking
The
New
Patriots.
England over the Jets,
Which
and
is
I do
fine.
not think New England is a better team than the Jets.
No.
The Jets have been incredible. I know it's on the road, in the division too,
And
I
against
believe.
better teams. So the Jets have fought harder teams at
pulled out.
harder times in harder games, and I don't see how they gave them that favor.
Coming
It's
off
crazy
a
to me.
win. Was it? No, it was in the Jets when they beat Buffalo, wasn't it?
Yeah, so
But they just beat
Still.
Buffalo. Buffalo is way better than New England, but
and it's a division game. Come on.
that's a part of reason why they have it so close is it's a division game. You just saw what division games can do to the Eagles.
Well, even against the Bills, same division, that was like similar thing's going to happen here. I just don't know how on earth they. I mean, I guess because New England's it's at home, but I don't know how you're giving 3.5 to New England. But
Yeah,
so I guess they'll learn that the hard way. Yeah, they'll learn that the hard way.
That's my upset. The Jets to take that.
That
I'm
would've-
actually probably going to put some money on that.
That would have probably been mine also, but I think Bears Falcons. That was like a man or Chicago Bears fan couldn't say no.
We'll move on to a couple teams that are surprisingly struggling, kind of, in the Rams and Saints. At least one of these teams get a win, get up to 4 wins, but I just
There is a bright side.
I still don't see either of these teams turning it around and making it into the playoffs.
I think the Rams.
The
take
Rams
this
have the
one.
biggest chance.
I think the Rams take this one, and it's going to be just boring. I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be like the Raiders game last
That's
week. just boring.
another game that if you're a betting fan, I would bet on because the Saints are a 2.5 favorite. They're at home, so technically the Rams are the favorites by half a point.
So I'd give that. I'm going Rams on that one.
I would take the Rams. I would take the Jets. I would take the Bears. If you're a betting guy, you want to parlay those. That's actually will add your odds up really high. So
All my Bears fans, you know what to do.
then we got the Lions versus the Giants. The Giants shouldn't struggle here. too bad, but the Lions did just.
I think that'll be a closer game than most people think. I think the Giants
Lions
are going
could
to
put
take
up
a lot of
points.
that from last week.
The Lions put up a lot of points.
Yeah, not that they beat up on like a pretty non-existent Chicago Bears defense, but I think you go out there and you win a game and you score 30 points. Plus they have
momentum.
You got some studs. You have something to take to the next week, and I think they're going to do that. I don't think they necessarily win against the Giants.
Yeah,
I think,
definitely maybe a little closer than you can.
I'm thinking maybe like 2 touchdowns out of Saquon this week. I think he's going to just have a crazy workload that I wish he would maybe not have so much of, but he's going to run all over him, probably get a little banged up, come back next week, no problem, and then he's going to have a day, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, I'm saying.
Yep, that's the only concern for the Giants is you have to have Saquon stay healthy.
Yeah.
Because we've seen the Giants the last 3 years without Saquon, and it's not a good team.
Yeah, he's going to have 30 carries. That's going to be something where, you're going to see it on paper, and you're going to be like, well, we obviously know where the ball was going, but he's going to be, he's built for it, but he's going to be basically a punching bag with the ball in his hands.
Panthers, Ravens, that should be a
really
easy game for the Ravens.
That should be a walkthrough.
The Panthers are
will run
better of a team without
They'll
Christian
run the
McCaffrey.
ball, and they'll do okay, but
so
I think Lamar Jackson,
if they can keep running it and keep the ball out of Lamar Jackson's hands, it's actually big, but I still see Lamar Jackson, running right down the field, scoring
Is
touchdown.
Mark Andrews active?
He's active.
He's active,
so.
right? Yeah, so that'll be a big target getting back. Number 1 target, in my opinion, so we'll see.
Ravens should run away with that pretty easily. They're a 12.5 favorite, and they're at home.
I think they win 2 possessions, at least. Yeah. At least 10 points, but I'm going to say like 14 points at least.
And it looks like Commanders might actually move above 500 because they got the Texans. It's in Texas, but the Commanders still have, 3-point favorites on the road. Texans aren't a very good team, but if you're, rooting for the Texans, this is a team that you can beat. It's possible. You got to play one of your best football games of the year.
How many wins do you have Texans winning? 2? What did I have them at? I think I only had them winning 1.
Where are they at?
Top right. Yeah, 1.
1-15-1 and 2-14-1. So
how
this
we feel
could
about
be
this.
This could be
you know
one of their few wins of this year. But
they squeaked a win out. That's all they're getting out of me.
Yeah, this game, I don't see either team making the playoffs. Obviously, Washington.
I don't even see the
chance.
Commanders beating them by much. I just see, Houston
they are
finding a way
team,
to lose this game. They're just not good. They are obviously not good, and they are going to continue to not be good because that's just who they are right now.
But it's the NFL, so anything could happen. But
$10
if you're
right now.
Texans hopeful, this is probably one of the games
can we bet on here?
have a chance. No, I'm not taking the Texans over the Commanders.
I tried.
Raiders versus Broncos, another boring game between 2 bad teams. I actually have probably the Broncos winning this game because it's in Mile High. Raiders have been struggling. They just lost to the struggling Colts. So Broncos could pull away. They have the better record right now, 2-7, 3-6. It doesn't really mean much. But
speak for yourself, man.
It actually should be a pretty close game, but not a very exciting game to watch.
There's nothing about either of these teams. There's nothing about the Broncos or the Raiders that's exciting to watch.
Devontae Adams is fun to watch.
I'll give you that.
And Josh Jacobs is fun to watch.
Yeah, but it's not. I'm not going to watch the whole game. I'm going to watch the
highlights,
the 3 minutes of highlights afterwards, just to see him do what he's been doing, and get pissed when the ball isn't going to him because obviously he's the guy making the plays, but. They're boring. I'm not gonna lie about it. They're very quick and an easy breeze for me to just go over. I don't care too much.
We actually skipped over Thursday night. That was the Titans versus the Packers in Green Bay, and Titans beat them by 10.
That was the game I was talking about where Aaron Rodgers looking weird.
Yeah, right back to struggling for Green Bay after coming back on Dallas and beating them. They lose to the Titans, who I don't think that they're too impressive of a team. I have them winning the division because the division kind of sucks.
That was the one where we were up here, and I was like, we got to go watch the fourth quarter because I wanted.
Yeah.
I
wanted the Packers
to
come
see
back.
Aaron Rodgers do something.
We've
because
seen it so many
times.
times, and it just never happened.
And he was just like, dude, like a 2 out of 10. He was there was guys, I wouldn't necessarily say wide open, but like beating coverage. And
Yeah, they were open though.
the plays that Aaron Rodgers can make for a guy who is in the space to make it, and he was just overthrowing, underthrowing.
He bounced one.
Bounced one. Like
it was a 10-yard throw.
Yeah,
and he threw it
bounced
pretty
it.
much straight into his feet. And
There was one.
You don't see that out of Rodgers.
I think there
often.
was like a 20-yard like post route to Lazard, and he just like overthrew him. One went over. What was his name?
Watson.
Christian Watson, yeah, went like right over him. There was one to Lazard that was just like maybe a foot overthrown, and you can tell maybe could he have like ran and tried to get that? Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers doesn't make you do that.
On that play, he was slowing down because he was running into a defender, so he was running slow so that he could, cut up the field. And Aaron Rodgers threw it in front of him so far that this guy almost made a play on the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not an Aaron Rodgers
for any
story
other
you're used to
quarterback.
seeing.
I understand that that's like a little, minor detail that you need to fix. But Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah.
how long has he been doing this?
That play is usually a 20 to 40 yarder.
He is spot on with that. That is in either your arm's length reach for him to catch, or that goes right to the breadbasket.
And then he can quickly turn upfield.
And just
20
yards
yards
after
catch.
catch, it's donezo. So I don't know what he was doing. I was excited to watch him.
And he looked upset that Lazard, wasn't running hard when Lazard made the right play, and probably learned that from Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers didn't make the throw. And we're not used to, Aaron Rodgers not making those throws.
And
Usually
for
he's
me,
the most accurate
and for
quarterback.
me, I'm a Bears fan, so I kind of appreciate it when he doesn't do good. But I wanted to see it. We were up here, and I was like, man, we got to go catch this fourth because I want to see this. I want to see something out of him because, like,
it should have been a good finish.
I don't like
it
seeing them
did
just
not
get. I mean, I
happen.
like seeing them just get walked through, but I want to see some sort of fight on him. He's a good quarterback. I want him to do something.
Put on a show, something.
Yeah.
And it was the only game on this Thursday
Give
night.
me something to watch. Yeah, give me something to watch. And he
the
was just
Thursday
showing me
night
nothing.
games have been kind of awful.
They've all been awful. How many do like? I think the Cowboys have a couple of the Thursday night games.
Broncos had a couple.
The
That
Broncos. That's what I was
nobody
thinking of.
wanted to watch.
The Broncos.
that.
Yeah, the Broncos had a couple Thursday night games. Just the most boring primetime you've
Yeah,
ever
they
seen.
had like 6 primetime games the first 8 weeks,
Yeah,
and I'm
the
like,
most-
I don't want to watch this team.
That's what I was thinking
I
of.
don't want to watch.
Boring. Boring.
Yeah, because
terrible.
at first it was exciting. Russell Wilson. This this offense should be
The thought of
should
it
be
was
changed,
exciting.
and then
yeah.
it still hasn't
What
happened.
I thought was
through
going to happen
10
was he was
weeks,
going
it
to
still
come
hasn't
out
happened.
and it was going to be electrifying, and then it's just been kind of like what Aaron Rodgers is doing. It's just been boring and a waste of all of our times.
Yep. So we'll go to these last 4 games. One of them's but the other should be the best games of this week. Cowboys versus Vikings.
All these
the
games
first
are going to
one.
be great.
This is a game between 2 NFC, top teams. I would still say I know Dallas is at 6-3 and just lost to Green Bay, but they're still top team. They're still in the playoff hunt. They
And it
still
was a
should get a
close
wild
game.
card.
And it was a close game. So they didn't get beat up. They just didn't win.
So maybe they, figure a couple things out, actually close this game and beat, 8-1 Vikings.
Yeah, we'll see.
Keep the NFC a little more balanced because if, Vikings win this game 9-1, them and the Eagles are, 3 or 4 games ahead of everybody.
And Dallas is the favorite.
Yeah, that's another.
Do I change my? No, I'm going with the Bears.
That's surprising. It's in Minnesota.
It's in Minnesota, and they're giving Dallas
they're
2
giving-
points.
And technically, they're giving them 5
Yeah,
to
so
beat the Vikings, who just beat Buffalo. Which
I want Vikings to
I
come
want
in and just.
to have a
trample.
long talk with whoever makes
I want,
these odds.
I want the
'cause
Vikings to come in and just go
Yeah.
crazy. Devin Cook better have a day.
You can add that one to that parlay I was talking about earlier with the wins.
Yeah, I totally
the
would.
underdogs.
Totally would.
Vikings, Bears, Jets. Who was the other one?
We are taking small percentage on your guys' wins too, so don't get it twisted.
I don't remember who the other one was. Oh, Rams. Rams are an underdog against the Saints. Then the next game, Bengals or Steelers. Divisional game, so it could be a little closer, but I don't see.
The Steelers doing anything?
Yeah, I don't see the Pittsburgh being able to pull this one out. It is in Pittsburgh, so that gives them kind of a chance. The Bengals are still a 3.5 favorite.
We need Joe
in
Burrow to do
Pittsburgh, so
something.
that's 6.5 favorite. So they're projected to win by almost a touchdown. So it should be a closer game than what you probably see on paper, but I still don't see the Steelers putting up enough points.
I think
to
it'll be
beat
exciting.
the
I think it'll be a fun game. I just don't think it'll be.
It is actually should be one of the better.
Like
Games of this
entertainment
week,
wise.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's what I meant. The next game, I think this will be I think this will be really fun.
Yeah,
Really fun
this
to watch.
is
It depends what
one
Justin
of the
Herbert
two
we're
best
gonna
games
get.
of the week.
Yeah, it depends what
Because-
Justin Herbert we're gonna get, but I think that'll be.
You got the
so
Chiefs
fun.
at the Chargers. The Chiefs are a 5.5 favorite,
And
on the
that's
road,
why
so-
I think it'll be fun. Is they're giving the Chiefs basically like 8.5 points, and I
Yeah.
think that's Justin Herbert's gonna come in. You can see like the grittiness in his face. He's gonna come out and just. I don't know if they get the win, but I think he's gonna come. They're gonna play, and it's gonna be a
It should
shootout,
be a,
and that's
it
a good thing. That's
should
good,
be
that's
a
good for
shootout.
football.
It should be a good game, but
Chargers.
the Chiefs have the ability to shut them down.
I think Chargers win by or the Chiefs win by 10 points,
Yeah,
something like
and
that.
that's
24-34 or something like
yeah.
that. I see something like that happening.
and then that's the game on tonight, Sunday Night Football. Monday Night Football tomorrow. 49ers at Arizona.
I think that'll be a fun one too.
Should be. Arizona needs that game, or their season's pretty much chalked.
That's a lot of pressure. I think their season's chalked already.
But if they win that game, 5-6, 49ers would go down to 5-5. That division is still kind of wide open. It's still reachable for Arizona because Seattle's winning at. What are they even at? What would it be, 6-5, and they're winning that, or 6-4, and they're winning that
I
division.
think Jimmy Garoppolo needs to throw a touchdown pass, and if he doesn't, they don't win.
Yeah.
Might have gotten away with it last week. Might have got away with it weeks prior.
And I think Arizona is on their way up. They're at 4-6 right now, but they just got
You don't-
Hopkins back. That offense has changed.
They're on the way up, and so is San Francisco, obviously. But if Jimmy Garoppolo does not find a way to score a touchdown, that's a hard way to win a game. That's a hard way to win a game. Christian McCaffrey can only do so much. I'm sure you have your weapons downfield that you can make the plays and get yourself there, and hopefully try to get Christian McCaffrey to power it through to get the touchdowns and get yourself some points, maybe a couple field goals if you get close enough and can't finish. But Jimmy Garoppolo needs to. You're the quarterback. You need to put your team in a position to win, and not throwing those touchdown passes basically just closes a lot of options off,
Yeah.
and your defenses can. They'll figure it out. They'll find a way to shut that down. Christian McCaffrey can only do so much.
I want to see a big game out of McCaffrey today or tomorrow.
I think you're going to get that regardless. I want to see a big game out of Jimmy, and I don't even necessarily mean like 350 yards, like 200 yards. I want to see high percentage. I want to see you to make the plays in crucial moments, and I want to see 2 touchdowns out of you. They'll win the game if they do that.
I believe the Cardinals actually have something to overcome. I think Zach Ertz is out for the season now. This is their first game without Ertz, and that was a huge target for Murray. See who can fill those shoes, if anyone even can. Who's their second string tight end?
Couldn't tell
No
you.
clue. So
Yeah, couldn't tell you.
maybe he's an under the radar tight end. Hasn't gotten playing time because he's behind Ertz. We'll see. It should be interesting. There's, like I said, we're 1-1 in our upsets. We
On the
both
way up.
we both lost last week. Both won
Go Bears.
this week. Mine again this week was the Jets over the Patriots in New England. Patriots are a 3.5 favorites, and then yours is who'd you take? The Rams?
Last week,
No, this week.
Chicago.
Oh yeah, Chicago over the Falcons. So that's
Game
2.5.
just started, by the way.
Um.
So we're gonna wrap this up here in a minute, boys.
Yep.
Hey,
And then
girls.
our first week of the upsets, we've done really good picking our upsets. The
I think
first
we were
week,
both within 3.
Yeah, we both lost by 3 week 1, and that actually covered their spread.
I think I picked Bears both weeks.
Yep.
Yeah, Bears Dolphins.
Oh, so we're right. You're right. You took Bears over. No, I took Bears over the Dolphins.
Oh, that's right. Who'd I take?
Someone who lost by 3. We can look.
The Vikings, I think.
No, Vikings won that game.
Oh, that's right. Who did I take?
Maybe you took the Commanders. Didn't you? You took the Commanders to beat the Vikings.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yep.
And that didn't cover your spread, but
No.
for both of mine, I covered my spread.
Yeah,
Thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow 10:30. I also wanted to say that
Tomorrow 10:30.
or next week 10:30. That
Fucking guy.
I
I got shit to do, bruh.
I was gonna say that if you miss the podcast on Sundays. Every Wednesday, I'm going to take the video of the podcast and put it on YouTube, and it's going to premiere. So it's going to be like it's a live video. So if you want to watch it with us,
Click the link right here.
we'll,
No, I'm just kidding.
we'll
Can
be
we make that happen? Can
we'll
we
be
do-
on my Twitch stream again, this stream, and watching the video. So if you want to hear our commentary over our podcast,
Hit the like
you
button.
you can watch it on the Twitch channel, or you can go to the YouTube and it'll just be this podcast, and you won't hear us. But we'll be in chat, so if you want to type something about whatever we say, we'll respond on YouTube. We'll respond on Twitch. So
I'm
thanks.
gonna keep pointing until you make a hyperlink. So you put like a button there. Click right here for more videos.
But thanks for watching, and we appreciate it. We'll see you next week for episode 4.
Salam.